No attempt in humor at all in what he said. And as a matter of fact, it was a lie. Now, as you pointed to, Will, since the 1960s, you have to get a license to broadcast. This isn't Netflix. This isn't cable. This is broadcast TV. And when you have broadcast TV, you have to, the airwaves are owned by the public.
Why do they think that just because you have a Tonight Show that you must deal in serious issues? That's a danger. It's a real danger. Once you start that, you start to get that self-important feeling that what you say has great import. And, you know, strangely enough, you could use that show as a forum. You could sway people, and I don't think you should as an entertainer.
Rob Schneider just stepped straight into the Jimmy Kimmel controversy. And let's just say he didn't hold back. The comedy veteran unleashed a scorching critique that left Hollywood buzzing. Instead of siding with Kimmel, Schneider flipped the script and took aim at the late-night host's downfall. Many assumed he'd defend a fellow comedian, but Rob went the opposite direction, hitting the left entertainment bubble where it hurts. This wasn't friendly advice. It was a masterclass in comedic precision and blunt honesty. Buckle in. This takedown...
Second, I'm still waiting for the left, the liberals, to get outraged about Roseanne getting fired for her free speech. And then I'm also waiting... I've been waiting a long time for the left and the Democrats, especially the Democrats on Capitol Hill, for the Twitter files that released that the Biden-Harris administration was actually using the government to pressure Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and especially Twitter to actually censor actual Americans through government pressure.
Rob Schneider opened fire with a dose of reality the internet wasn't ready for. Television shows aren't in the Constitution. In one clean strike, he reminded everyone that free speech doesn't come with a guaranteed network salary. You can say whatever you want, but your employer has every right to cut you loose if your words damage the brand. Then, with razor-sharp sarcasm, he called out the meltdown over Kimmel's firing. The First Amendment protects you from government punishment, not from losing your job when your speech costs money. Schneider's point hit hard. If you want full control over what you say, you'd better own the company. Until then, private networks make the rules. And Kimmel just learned that lesson the hard way.
You have capitalist pressure. Capitalist pressure is really important because what happens is you have to make money or you have to do something of value so that you can get something in return. Now, the interesting thing is it's false advertising because honestly, look, Jimmy Kimmel can be funny, and I don't mean to take anything away from that. But the fact of the matter, can you remember a political joke that went viral, what was something really funny of his? There was no attempt in humor at all in what he said.
Great for the hypocrisy. He asked a question no one on the left wants to answer. Where was this outrage when Roseanne Barr was fired by ABC for her offensive tweet about Valerie Jarrett? Back then, silence. No hashtags. No outrage. Rob made it clear he's not defending Roseanne's words, but he's exposing the double standard. You can't cheer when someone you dislike gets fired, then suddenly preach free speech when it happens to your favorite. His message was brutal but true. Principles don't change with popularity. Either you believe in consistency, or you're just playing politics. And for Rob, hypocrisy isn't just wrong. It's the ultimate punchline.
Now, as you pointed to, Will, since the 1960s, you have to get a license to broadcast. This isn't Netflix. This isn't cable. This is broadcast TV. And when you have broadcast TV, you have to, the airwaves are owned by the public. And to get that license, you have to be in the interest, like you said, of the public. And so that's why when there's a news van parked in the white zone, they don't get a ticket because they are there to present news to inform the public in the public interest. So what happens is 25% originally was supposed to be the news to inform it, just to get that license. So when you absolutely lie to the public, then you are no longer in the public interest, like Jimmy Kimmel did the other night.
Government's own push to control speech. He recalled how the Biden administration and Vice President Harris once pressured social media companies to police content, how Twitter clashed with Elon Musk, and how Meta used fact-checkers to silence what it labeled false information. Those moves, Schneider argued, built a system that the left applauded, until that same system turned on one of their own. He was excusing misinformation. He was demanding fairness. If you supported online censorship when it worked in your favor, you don't get to cry foul when the same rules hit back. Schneider summed it up perfectly. Hypocrisy is now eating its creators alive.
Something dangerous. So with the FCC chairman, he didn't say that he was going to pull the license. He was going to give them a warning and ask for an apology, what I understood on the Benny Johnson show. And so that's not the government doing it. And when 246 different stations around the country say we're no longer airing this, it's because they heard from their consumers. They heard from their customers. And they said, that's it. We're not doing it. And so Nexstar, who's a great guy over there, Sean Compton, said, that's it. He's the CEO and said, when we have complaints like this and none of the channels, 246.
Jimmy Kimmel wasn't canceled. He was held accountable. On a major broadcast, Kimmel chose to mislead viewers for laughs, and that decision came with consequences. No one forced him to say what he said. He could have stayed neutral, fact-checked his monologue, or skipped the controversy altogether. Instead, he doubled down on the partisan joke, bet his career on the punchline. Schneider made it clear, that's not censorship, that's consequence. When you spread false information on live television, you're not exercising free speech. You're risking the trust that keeps your platform alive. And when that trust breaks, so does your contract.
I just like to say this in defense of people who can get absolutely entrapped into this political echo chamber. And that's what happened to, in my opinion, what happened to Jimmy Kimmel. I heard him talking on some podcast with another comedian, and it's easy to get trapped in your political...
Bob took apart one of the biggest myths, that the government had anything to do with Kimmel's firing. According to him, that's pure fantasy. ABC made its own call. The network's executives found Kimmel's remarks reckless, damaging.
Right about you have to bring value to your employer. You also have to serve, as you pointed out with the FCC's regulation, the public interest. Now, no one denies that you or Jimmy Kimmel can have your opinion, but it's where you use that opinion and on what platform. And there was a time, Rob, when late night hosts seemed to understand that balance a little bit better. And I just wanted to, with you and our viewers, remember together Johnny Carson.
And out of line with their standards. The FCC wasn't planning to fine or punish anyone. At most, they might have requested a public apology. But ABC didn't wait for that. They made a business move to protect their reputation. Rob spelled it out plainly. This wasn't government control. It was corporate accountability. No conspiracies, no secret orders. Just one company deciding it had enough of one man's bad judgment. Rob explained how Kimmel's downfall really began. Not with a single joke, but with a slow shift away from comedy itself. What started as light political teasing turned into nightly lectures and partisan sound bites. Kimmel stopped being the entertainer who could make anyone laugh and became a voice for one side of the political spectrum. Surrounded by people who agreed with him, he lost touch with balanced curiosity and nuance. The audience noticed, and they tuned out. In the end, Rob says Kimmel's real mistake wasn't a single comment. It was forgetting what made him great in the first place. When humor turns into politics, laughter disappears, and that's when the curtain finally falls.